If you are a real estate investor or if you are thinking about investing in rental properties, today we are talking about why Idaho stands out as one of the most landlord-friendly states in the whole country. We are going to compare Idaho to Washington because they're our closest neighbor. And in Washington, rules tend to favor tenants more heavily, so you can see the clear differences and make a smart investment decision. Let's start with some context. Idaho's population grew an impressive 17.3% from 2010 to 2020, making it one of the fastest growing states. Right here in Kootenai County, the population is now about 188,000 people, and it grew another 1.7% just from mid-2023 to mid-2024. That kind of steady growth fuels housing demand. And when you look at fair market rents in Kootenai County, the averages are about $1,460 for a 2-bedroom and over $2,000 for a 3-bedroom, roughly 30% higher than the Idaho state average. My name is Leslie Simpson. I am a realtor here in the Coeur area. I am licensed in both Idaho and Washington. And if you have any questions about the housing market in North Idaho, give me a call. I'd love to help you. I also do a newsletter that goes out once or twice a month. I have a link down below to sign up for that. And I have a private home search website, so if you're ready to just start looking at properties, but you don't want to get a bunch of phone calls from random realtors, you can use that to start searching. And then obviously just call me if you want to talk through what it's like living here, if you have questions about the market, you have a house to sell, you want a market analysis done, just give me a call. I'd love to chat. And if you like my videos, make sure that you subscribe and hit that bell so that you get notified when a new video is posted. I do my best. I'm not perfect, but I'm doing my best to get a new video up every week. One of the biggest things to understand is that each state has very different landlord-tenant laws. In Idaho, the laws lean toward protecting property owners, while in Washington, that tends to be more tenant-friendly. That means if you own a rental in Idaho, you generally have more control, more flexibility, and fewer restrictions. As a Washington licensed realtor, I can attest to this. I have had clients I had one particular case a couple of years ago where my seller had tenants in a property, and this is in Southwest Washington. The boyfriend was on the lease. He went to jail or something. And then the girlfriend was still in the house. She was not on the lease, but she had rights to be within the property. And my client could not evict her for, I think, 90 days. And during that time period, she smoked like a chimney in that house every day and just wrecked it. So it was a whole thing. It was horrible. I personally would not own a rental property in Washington. So if you own a rental property in Washington or another state where the rights are just not on your favor, it would for sure be worth exploring moving that money into Idaho, into investment properties. And if you have not heard of 1031 exchanges, I'm going to do a link to that video here so that you can learn more about that topic, because it can be a great way to defer taxes when you are buying and selling investment properties. In Idaho, eviction processes are faster and less costly. If a tenant stops paying rent, you can begin eviction after just 3 days' notice. In Washington, the process is longer, it's much more complicated, sometimes stretching into months. That difference alone can save Idaho landlords thousands of dollars in lost rent, and not to mention lost sleep and the stress that goes along with not having control over a property you own. Idaho does not allow rent control. You as the landlord set the rent based on market conditions. Washington doesn't have statewide rent control either, but certain cities and counties are starting to push for stricter regulations on that. Idaho is far less likely to go down that road, which creates more stability for investors. Idaho gives landlords flexibility when it comes to security deposits. There is no statewide maximum deposit amount, unlike some states. In Washington, there are stricter rules on deposits, and landlords often have to pay interest or provide additional documentation. Idaho's system is simpler, less paperwork, and more straightforward. Another advantage, taxes. Idaho's property taxes are lower than Washington's in many areas, and overall housing prices are still more affordable in Idaho. That means a lower barrier to entry for new investors and a stronger return on the investment. On top of that, Idaho's population is growing, especially in places like Boise and Coeur d'Alene. More people moving in means more demand for rentals. Combine that with landlord-friendly laws, and you've got a recipe for a strong investment environment. To help with the process, the Idaho Office of the Attorney General has put together a Landlord and Tenant Manual, which I have listed that as a resource in the description down below. This manual explains the rights and responsibilities of both landlords and tenants under state law. It covers leases, deposits, rent, maintenance, and the proper legal steps for evictions, while stressing that self-help evictions like lockouts or shutting off utilities are illegal. The guide also provides checklists for move-in, move-out inspections and special rules for manufactured home parks and storage units. It's a very practical reference, but it's not a substitute for legal advice. So if you are looking at where to buy your next rental property, Idaho is absolutely worth considering over states like Washington. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like this video. Subscribe for more real estate insights, and let me know in the comments, would you rather invest in Idaho or Washington?